Okay. Hello and welcome, Success Grid Nation, to this episode of the Success Grid podcast with your host, Hussein Talib. In this episode, I have with me Benjamin Brown to talk about the sales process and why is it important and how to get more sales and close more sales and grow your business and your profits. Benjamin Brown realized that many small businesses don't use a sales process. In fact, many businesses don't think sales training is important until it starts to affect their revenue. Benjamin began sharing his sales experience with business owners. As a result, he built the rapid success sales process. By implementing a proper sales process, an individual or a business owner can increase revenue and become more successful. Ben, welcome to this episode of the Success Secret podcast. Great to have you here.
Good morning to you, sir.
How are you? How is everything?
Everything is well. It's going to be a busy day. So I like busy days. Like I said, just came from the gym, working out. Got to work out every day. I might take tomorrow off. I don't know. We'll see.
You should, you should. So, because this is the Success Secret podcast, I want to start by asking you, what do you think or believe success is, and what would you say other people around you would define success as, and do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, success, it goes into three-part: body, mind, soul, people can have, but it's basically the whole entire deal, especially when you have family members. It's not all about money. It's about, what you gravitates towards you and what you have. Like if you have a good spirit, a good family, good lifestyle. And that is very hard to balance all of those. If you're an entrepreneur, as you know, the sacrifices that you take to become successful is immense. And that takes a toll on the family. And so it's a balance that you have to flow with. Most people, the ones who are not successful but always want to, don't understand the work that it takes to become successful.
Hmm.
It takes work. It's just we lie to each other all the time on the internet about, all this, and then you could do this and do. It takes a lot of work, a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly. It takes work. So now, in regards to business entrepreneurship, like we go into business basically to like to have more money, right? So this is one of the reasons people go into business. It's not like you do want to help other people, but eventually when you think about it on a one singular basis, individual, you do want to make more money, want to have more money. One of the things is to do actually is to make sales. So this is one of most important pieces of the puzzle, right? So first of all, how would you define a sale or sales or the sales process or a salesperson? And do you think sales and marketing, just I need a quick answer on that, are the same or are different two animals?
Sales and marketing is two different animals. So marketing gets you exposure, it gets attention, brings people to the opening of your process. Once they penetrate the skin of the company, which is sending an email, making a phone call, walking into your door, any type of reach out is where the marketing stops and the sales begin. So this is why people always sell on the internet. You need more leads. People, oh, I want more leads, right? That's the carrot. The carrot is if you don't know how to sell, you're going to need more and more leads, and people are spending a tremendous amount on marketing. Hence, I have before, on these new processes to bring more people into your sales process. But if you don't have a sales process, you're going to need a tremendous amount of leads, right? So, what is a sale? Is what you ask. So most people think it has to do with money, and it really doesn't. It's more simple than that. So what my philosophy is sales is simple, but it's not easy. All right. So let me repeat that one more time. Sales is simple, but it's not easy. And so what that means is that the purpose of a sale is to get someone to move. So what I mean by move, very simple. Click on this, go to this website, put in your email address, come to our store, call us at this number, put your credit card here. All of these are baby steps in a sales process, right? And so it's a movement of a little steps. I always use the analogy of a child. Do you have children?
Me personally, no, I don't.
So when you have aunts or little children, they always ask you to pick them up, right? And they'll ask continuously, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up. So we've been born to sell. That child is selling you. He's not giving you the introduction or the qualification, or all these little steps that you normally do in a business sale. All they're doing is closing you.
Mm.
And so the child is just closing. Pick me up, pick me up. They don't care about you, whatever you're thinking about, just want you to pick them up. And so that is the key I tell people in the sales is to get somebody to move. So if you're not in a sales process, you're just having communication. So sales is the actual language to make people move. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so eventually you want people to be aware of you that you are there exists in the marketplace by, for example, marketing, and you want to convert these people who know about you, because basically there are a lot of competition in whatever it is that you chose to be in what type of businesses, whether it's commerce, e-business, selling information, whatever it is that you are selling, or a service or a SaaS, there is competition. So communication with these people will lead them to how you can actually close with them and make them clients now and in the future and keep them as much as possible, right? So this is one of the things that included in the sales process, would you say?
Well, the sales process, the end step that I have in mind that's written in my book, Master the Art of Closing a Sale, is the purpose, the end results of a sale is to, number one, get a testimonial. Number two, get a referral, right?
Hmm.
Let me repeat that again. So the end results for a sale is number one, get a testimonial. Number two, get a referral. If you can get a referral, that will save money on the marketing, right? So there's companies out there that don't do any marketing. Network marketing is what it's called. You sell your friends and everybody gets a cut, right? So yeah, the end result for a sale is not the sale, it is to get a testimonial and to get a referral.
Hmm.
Make sense?
Mm. Yeah, of course, because like you mentioned here, these two things, having a testimonial from a client and having them referring other people is actually cutting the cost on your marketing efforts if you are, for example, spending on ads. That's one thing, and increasing the revenue basically for your business. So it's a double-edged sword and in a good way. So
Absolutely.
right. So, but now, if we wanna have a deeper dive at the steps to close more sales for any business and getting into more deals and having more sales and revenue profits. So, how would the process look like in your book, and how would you work with your clients to do that and achieve with them their visions and goals to get more clients? What are the steps involved in that?
To get more clients or to sell more? Which one?
Eventually to sell more. So to sell more.
Well, the main thing is that sales is a skill. So let me repeat that again. Sales is a skill. So you have to work at it. Normal time under an apprenticeship, if you're working a skill, say a laborer, you're a carpenter, a plumber, you work under someone. You just don't go out there and just start doing it after you read the book. Sales is the same way. It is a skill. It is a career that you can go from company to company and use your skills to move products and services, right? So the main thing is that you have to understand that skill and you have to practice that skill. So it has to be, and this is one of the things I tell people, it doesn't matter whether you use my system or somebody else's system. It's like karate. You can go all of these dojos, but can you fight? Right. And so when you're in a sales process, you're actually in a fight to help somebody with a product or service that you provide. And sometimes they're going to fight you. So that the biggest tool that they have is one word. It's called no. So you use all these tactics to make them not say no, right? And so you're in the job of helping people if you like what you do and products that you serve. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So for example, if I look into my own definition of how I see what the business fundamentals are, I recently start saying that it has basically three things like First thing is the skills, and you can have multiple skills and grow them together to achieve certain goal with that. And also passion to solve problems. The second is the network, which is it's two ways, like who you know and who knows you.
Right.
And the third thing is adding value and serving other people. And you do that in multiple ways, but the way I see it now is the main thing is by selling. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Mark Cuban said it the best. He said the first thing you need to do when you open a business is learn how to sell. I mean, you can learn how to web design. You can learn how to do TikTok videos. I mean, you can learn how to cut videos up and do video editing. All of these things, you can design a great business card. All of these different things are tools. You can be the best accountant in the world, know how to do your money and how to invest it. But the main thing is that you need sales. And it's the first thing that you need to do. And some people, when they start a business, they get excited about all these other little small other things. But the main thing is, are you generating sales, right?
Yeah. So why do you think they are not focusing on the sale, focusing on different element? And how do you, for example, make yourself and your business go and focus on the sale? Do you think because this year you talked about it's a skill, they are not learning the skill and they're thinking, for example, that learning, I am a graphic designer, for example, I should be learning more and more and more and upgrading my skills in graphic design, and they forget the most important thing, which is actually having a sale and getting more clients?
Well, the problem is that you have to be the front of your company unless you can afford a salesperson. Because everyone would love to have a salesperson. It makes it a whole lot easier. But most people that never been in sales cannot hire a salesperson because they don't know sales, right? So the main thing is that in your business, your job in a business is to fire yourself from all these jobs that you do not like to do. But you better know what that is, right? So if you build your own sales process within your company, when you hire, you give them a tool to be successful in your business. When you hire a salesperson, because you say, this is how we sell here. And if it doesn't work, you can let them go, right? And so the main thing is you have a process for your company. There's 10 steps in every sale, but not every business need all 10 steps. For example, the gym business is 5: need, use, affordability, spouse, and guest pass. But there's 10 steps in that, right? But you're only using primarily 5 to actually work on that. So when you work with businesses, what are the steps that you need? Maybe there might be 3, maybe there might be 7, but every sale is 10 steps is the way I teach. So you understand the basis of it. So you're not customizing your sales process for a product. You just know how to sell. So
Yeah.
what that means is that I can teach you how to sell. You can do, design work like you're doing right now. And then on Monday, you could sell planes. On Thursday, you can sell refrigerators. It doesn't matter because you know how to sell, right? So people are like, I don't know if you can help us because we do this. And I'm like, I don't care what you do. Does it work? If it works and you like it, we can sell it, right? If I go out on the street today and I go out on the street corner and I decide to sell pet rocks, people are like, oh, you're crazy, you're out of your mind. If I go out there for consistent time and amount of people and take the rejection and be very enthusiastic about what I'm doing, I can go out there and sell pet rocks. What does pet rocks do? Nothing, but I can sell them, right? So that's the key that I tell people. It's simple, but it's not easy. And you have to understand the back end of the work that it takes to get it done.
Yeah, so for example, to make things easier for people who are would like to sell more of their stuff, you talked about the no, which is the easiest answer for a client can say, right? So you can talk as much as you like for an hour, but if they eventually said no, there's no point in that. So what do you think the preparation, first of all, or having or looking for the right prospect can do for a business rather than just pitching to each and every individual? Like for me, for example, to quickly the story, I worked as an outdoor sales. Like I used to go door to door selling restaurant coupons and this type of stuff. I know the stuff. So not each one, not each individual, not each family might need these coupons to get discounts from whatever restaurant that there is, right? Maybe 1 in 10. So that's 10%. So how we can, for example, a business or a singular entrepreneur can have a better way to have the best prospects to increase the success rates for this sales, for example. Do you think that exists?
Well, that goes back down to target market. Who do you want to put your effort? Who do you want to be in front of? That's the marketing aspect. Because that's why people get confused. They want leads. Everybody wants leads. Who should I talk to? How can I sell better? So your marketing is the part that brings it into your sales process once again, right? So your sales process is going to weed out what do you consider a good client? Because I teach what's called bad money. Not every client that you can sell is a good client. And that bad client is going to cost you money and time to try to make them happy. So if you knew that in the beginning, you would realize, hey, it's not worth the money for this client. I fire clients. People never even heard the concept. You fired a client, like, yeah, it's not going to work for you, right? Or rather you go work with somebody else because you're going to waste a lot of my time and I can't help you. And plus the fact nowadays they'll give you a bad review, which is worse than anything on your reputation, right? So you have to see these things, and in your sales process, you'll start weeding that out because that's where the baby steps come in, the little small steps that we're talking about. You'll realize it. This is why you have to repeat it over and over and over again. The problem is most people don't want to go through the pain. They don't want to get rejected. They want that perfect client. They want them to click and buy and don't talk to them and so on and so forth, right? That's what they want.
Yeah.
They want it to automatically come into the inbox. Oh, I've sold something else. Like, yeah, that's great. But in most situations, that doesn't work or it doesn't last.
Yeah. So do you think now, because there are, in my opinion, do you think there is like some kind of people generally like to buy, right? But they don't like to feel that they are being sold to. So do you think that's
Well,
true?
the one thing, if you know how to sell, it's not going to feel like a sale.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think integrating, for example, stories and this type of thing, or do you think, for example, people in general that on the other side that they want to buy certain stuff that they are emotional buyers or logical buyers? So does that exist? Because sometimes people start comparing and searching on Google, for example, yes, there is a cheaper option or not. So do you think we have logical buyers and emotional buyers, or do you think there is only one type of buyers that exist and this is just it is?
Well, the simple thing I ask the people, the big note that I give them is like, number one, a big question that you ask yourself when you're in business, why should people buy from you? If you can answer that question, it doesn't matter about emotional. See, that's where the complication come in. Can I sell this way to this person and sell this way to this person? No, same every single time, right? Don't discriminate whether they're emotional, female, everything. It's the same process. So if you hone the process, the three things you need to do in a sales, number one, you need to know where you're going, have a process. Number two, you have to be confident for the no's, right? And number three, you have to listen. So if you're doing number one really well, you have more time to listen because the client tells you these things, right? Because you're so anxious. You know, you're trying to make a sale, you're trying to, I don't know, build a business, you're trying to make money, all these type of deals going on in your head while you're talking to them. You need to clear your head, focus on the prospect, and figure out what they really want and listen to them. And you'll understand a whole lot more. It's not that complicated, but to do that is it's not simple, right? So when I get people to understand that, it takes a while. And once they get it, they go, oh, now I know why I do that, right? It's like an ideal moment. Now I know why you're telling me to do that, right? Even though they've been in sales for years, they've never done it like that. And so that's the concept that I try to teach because it's easier. Once you get to that moment, you're like, oh, it's not as hard as I thought it was. Like, no, because you thought sales was this, and it's really not that. Make
So
sense?
yeah, so do you think, like, for example, if you're talking here about the seller listening to the buyer and what they actually want, because sometimes they like they know what they want, sometimes they don't want this thing that they actually turns out that they do need this thing or want this thing that you're selling. So is there some kind of I don't want to say the sales scripts that already exist in every, especially for example, outdoor sales, these kind of scripts that already there. But are there certain type of things or questions that could be asked to the buyer to let the conversation flow and let the buyer answer, or, so we can listen to what they actually need and want?
Absolutely. My definition, I said the difference between a good salesperson and a great salesperson is the number of questions that you ask,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So most people are just not asking enough questions. There,
okay.
and the first rule in sales that I teach is you never assume anything. It's all ruled out by questions. So if you don't assume anything, you don't have any high anxiety, you go into every sale, not worrying about the damage. People are like, oh, if I get rejected, if I go through all of this stuff, but they hang up on me, you go through all this emotional stuff when you really shouldn't have to do that.
Mm, yeah. So, what do you think are some of the questions? Do you think that these questions should be like generic questions, like do you think like do you need this service now, or asking them if they can afford it, if they can, or asking them directly like, yeah, it's time now. What kind of payment would you like to pay? How these questions might be formed at or like?
Well, a different question that I ask is, if I could, would you?
Mm,
Right? I have to understand that I'm the more important on the phone call. You're the client or potential client, which is important, but I'm important because I'm trying to help as many people as I can. So my time is relevant. So I have to ask these detailed questions to realize if we're in the right type wavelength. So in my process, I use one of the statements in step number 5 is, if I could, would you? If
mm,
I could solve your problem, would you be able to do business today? Right? So I'm asking you, face to face, and most people will never do that. They'll assume they'll go directly to the presentation, and the presentation should be able to sell them. I'm asking you before I even do my presentation, if I don't know if I could, but if I could, is there anything holding us back from doing business today? You have to tell me why not today. Well, I have somebody else that I need to talk to, because buyers are liars, right? So I have to rule out some of these things that they have, depending on the dollar amount, to get over that and overcome that.
Yeah, so the most important thing from, for example, the sales process salesperson to know is the problem that is facing the client, because once you know the problem and you listen to them, you either have the solution for them like right now, or maybe if you don't have the solution, maybe you can find or have the solution for them, because generally people, when they buy anything, like we don't like to go through the process of things. We want to go from A to Z like immediately, so we are
Right,
buying the end result, we're not buying the process of that. So that's very important, right?
right. Absolutely. So you
Mm,
have to be more considerate, but you're using your skill to help them. So
mm.
you don't have the skill, then it looks kind of ugly. It's a mess.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you think that sales in general is something that is learnable, I guess, or do you think that some of us don't have the ability to be a good sales or great salespeople? Because you mentioned good and great salespeople. How huge is the difference between these two?
Well, remember, as a child, you were born to sell. Right?
Mm,
We always ask as a child. What happens is that we get educated, we get these other skills that's supposed to make us money, and the money gives us what we want, but we don't have to ask for it. So if we got $1 million in the bank, we don't have to ask for anything, right? So when you open a business, you're like, oh, I worked for this company X amount of years. I went through college. Now I want to open up a business. When you open that business up, guess what? You're going to have to start doing. You're going to have to start asking. And most people haven't done it in years. So
yeah.
they're uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, because like we assume as a salesperson or a company selling their services or products, we assume that there is everything that is people need that already exist maybe. So do you think that's maybe a problem? Because like as we are talking here about like we don't really ask the question like what is the problem that you are facing or the challenge that you're having in your life or your business. So we just assume that we already have the solution for the problem that they already have. So we need
Right.
to dig deeper a little bit and get to know the person next to us on the opposite side to learn more about their life or business so we can actually give them the solution that can be good, appropriate solution for them. So not everything might fit to 100 people. There is nothing such thing as that.
Correct.
Mm.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
definitely. So, Ben, what do you think is a final word that you would say, a takeaway, or something that you can add here that we missed talking about?
What I teach is any product or service that you're dealing with, if you do not like it or love it, leave it. So the passion that you have for whatever you're selling has to come through. And if you don't like what you do, the client or potential client will feel that, right? I just put down a business I was in for about a year, cost a lot of money, spent a lot of time on it, and I didn't like it or love it. And the numbers just didn't match in the end, but I still didn't like it or love it. I thought it would work. And so if I had more passion, I would have probably done things differently for it. But it was just like a job. It was a company I started. And so these things you have to understand. You have to have that with your business. You got to like it or love it because it's going to be hard times, right? And that's going to get you through to the point because some people quit right before you hit success, right?
Yeah, like you should not never give up if you believe or have passions to solve problems.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, right. That's very important because eventually everything can work out in your favor. But as you mentioned in the beginning, like it needs sometimes a bit more time than you think because like it's not like all of us want everything at yesterday. We want everything like yesterday. So that's not how things actually work in real life. Some things might work fast, some things need a little bit more time.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, Ben, where can people learn more about you, get in touch with you, and get your book?
It's 360 Sales Consulting. That you can do that. My book is on Amazon. I do a cheap plug. Master the Art of Closing the Sale is on Amazon by Benjamin Brown. And also, I have a link, very simple for people. It's called Meet with Benjamin. So, Meet with Benjamin is the URL. You can go on there and you can schedule a call to sit down with me as well.
Awesome, awesome. And thank you, Benjamin, for being here today with me on this episode of the Success Grid podcast.
Thank you, sir.